Hi, so I'm Alisa. I'm an executive coach and I'm also a people lead in my corporate life. We are today with Prosper going to touch a little bit what executive coaching is actually doing for people. What can you expect? I am a great believer in always learning something new every day, and that's what I try to teach also to my clients. And the biggest thing that you can learn from today is all the answers you already have. The question is, are you allowing yourself to ask those questions? What is it that you actually want from your life? And are you allowing yourself this risk of living the best life you would like? And this is what we will try to uncover today. So stick with us.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to yet another exciting episode of the Online Prosperity Show, where we bring you the minds behind some of the most transformative journeys in leadership and in business. I'm your host, Prosper Taruvinga, and today you're in for a real treat. Just imagine being told your entire life that you're destined to be a social worker just because everybody comes to you and they just start spilling their guts to you. I know I sometimes have that role, but it's not as good as my next guest here because she's actually turned that natural gift into a career. And not only is she changing lives, but now she's empowering leaders to reach their full potential. Now, our next guest is one that needs no introduction, but I think for those that are sitting at the back of the room, Alisa, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Prosper. Happy to be here.
Fantastic. I'm really excited for what we are about to experience because I've been watching Alicia's work and she has actually shifted from a corporate managerial role to becoming an executive leadership coach. And she's been inspiring teams and leaders for almost 2 decades now. And she's here to just share her incredible journey with us and insights that might even surprise you or you've never come across any of the stuff you're going to experience today. So thank you so much once again, Alisa. Maybe let's start by diving into your journey because there's so many layers to it, like an onion. What actually inspired you to transition from a corporate managerial role to becoming an executive leadership coach?
Well, first of all, I have to say that I do both. I still do both. So my day-to-day life is still corporate. I'm a manager in a corporate company still, and that's been also my journey for the last I don't know, since I remember myself, so 20 years. And addition to that, I own my own business of executive coaching. For about 1 year officially right now. And unofficially, I've been doing the executive coaching and career coaching for about 2.5 years right now. So I think I worked with some very difficult managers, very tough cookies, mostly men. And I've been actually was privileged enough to work very tightly with them and to learn from them, the good stuff and the bad stuff. And a lot of the bad stuff, I wonder about how can they actually be shifted and managed into a more empowering part and to more empowering leadership instead of being this negative part of their managers. Most of the managers didn't do much about that. They were the most powerful people in the company, so obviously they had all the right to do whatever they want. And I think that inspired me basically to ask, what else? How can I change also myself? And how can they actually be even better leaders to their team? And what else can they achieve with actually working on the gaps that they have in their skill set? So I think this is where I am. And this is why I do what I do.
Absolutely. I'm quite intrigued, especially when it comes to things like that. What sort of company are you sort of working for? Is it like one of those top tier companies, or is it a mid company that everybody
No,
knows
it's
each
mid
other?
companies. Yeah, I usually work in mid companies, and I all my life I think I worked in mid companies, starting from financial companies, investment banking, and trading, and all of this. And in the recent decade, basically in Berlin, I've been working for the tech industry, so consultancy, digital consultancy, and there are mid-sized companies, basically with pretty, I would say, flat hierarchies. So it allowed me to actually gain my experience from many different domains, and work very tightly to the C-level management, and to learn from them and to see them in action day to day, and to see also identify their gaps.
Mm. Now, one of the things that I mentioned in the intro was a lot of people have often sort of told you that you should be a social worker now just because of your natural ability to help others. Is it because you were just working around men and they just seemed to want to be around some lady that they could just maybe, yeah, you know, have.
I think the funny thing is, when I was, as far as I remember, all my friends used to tell me I should be a social worker because I want to help everybody to solve their problems. I didn't end up being a social worker. I think it's good because it's a very difficult job, but I still have the same willingness to help people be better. And now I transform it to basically management. How can you leverage your skill set and be better? And yes, I have been in positions that I was often the only single woman working tightly with powerful men. And I think it obviously also been the reason where I had some skill set that maybe the men didn't have, like more empathy, more feedback culture, more kindness, even. And the team members saw it, identify that. Obviously, a lot of managers didn't pay too much attention to that. They didn't find it as a strength, but all the team members did. And this is what they needed. So they really need in leadership somebody who can show them, it's all about you, not about me. And I often find that the men have struggles with showing that to their team members. And this is where basically an executive coach comes from, to identify those skill sets. How can you be a better team leader for your own people?
Fantastic. Now, there's only 24 hours in a day, Alicia, and you seemingly have been able to double your output, especially in the last 2 years and intensely in the last 1 year, where you've had both, careers going at the same time. How have you managed to balance that?
It's a struggle every day. To be honest, I work a lot. I start my day pretty early. I start with waking up my kids at 6 a.m. Well, they wake me up. And then my day starts until 9. I do my executive coaching sessions, basically, so every day. And from 9, I start my corporate job. I work for 8 hours, sometimes even more, and I continue after my kids go to sleep. So basically, from 8:30 to midnight, I work on my content on LinkedIn. I work on messaging, on content creation, on connecting with people, and so on and so forth. And obviously, also generating some ideas for my clients. How else can I learn? But also for me, I still develop myself every day. So I need a lot of inspiration. I read a lot of self-development books. I read a lot of books about prosperous people. What else can I learn from them? And often, when I don't have all the answers, and I often don't, especially to my clients, I like to go and research about that. So I like to basically read a little bit, see what else can I still figure out, and maybe build it in the right way for my clients to help them out.
Absolutely. I mean, obviously, the more you learn, the more sort of language, vocabulary, and knowledge that you sort of acquire. And it puts you in a very interesting position because you actually now have the physical experience and the learned experience, which now allows you to be able to be an executive coach for people, because you've got both of these worlds, sort of working together. Now, obviously, you've also been leading empowered teams and managing complex projects, which you've been doing for nearly 2 decades. Now, how has all this experience, this learning, this teaching, and all this stuff maybe shaped the kind of coach you've become? And, how does that set you really apart from everybody else who can say they're an executive coach?
I think the trend now is becoming a coach. And that's what I see, at least. In all the social media, every single person wants to be a coach and to teach somebody else, which I greatly, embrace. I do think there's two difference. There's a big difference, I would say, in the different type of coaching. So what I chose to do in terms of executive coaching is in cooperation with my executive background, actually, and while my experience and my mentorship together with coaching. And this is what I do also in my sessions. So a lot of my clients, they appreciate the experience that I bring from managing different teams, as you just mentioned, and also using all kind of operational tool set that can actually make them be not only better in leadership, but actually running their teams. So for instance, I started my tech career from being a product manager, and then I started to be a project manager, and I manage a lot of technical teams. And each project and each team that I've been on, it has a lot of complexity. So I had to start everything from scratch, especially starting with learning new technologies and new terminology, because I am not a technical person. I have two backgrounds, two BA and MBA in business and management, but none of them are technical. So I had to self-learn everything from scratch. And each time I had that, there were a lot of team members who are usually developers, technical people, who were very skeptical about my skills. They said, there's no way you can manage a team of engineers if you don't have a technical background. And I have to prove them wrong each time I manage a project and deliver the product. And I did pretty well. And I think that taught me that no matter what skill set you have, is it a technical one or a hard skill or a soft skill, if you set your mind to it, you can learn it. Even if you are not having the proper education or proper background. And I think this is what actually lead me through all those years. So whatever I set my mind to it, I just do it. And I think each person is the same. The question is, do you really believe you're able to do it? Or do you give yourself a chance? And a lot of people, they're just afraid because they like to stay in their comfort zone. And being a coach, this is somebody who is accountable partner for you to tell you, hey, you can do it. That's what you do, basically. That's what I do for my kids, for instance. Hey, you can do it, you can draw it, you can jump, right? Like from really, really small task to big management decision, like, hey, you can make that decision, you can open this office, you can set a new team or whatever it is, right? The idea is the same. It's somebody that believes in you and somebody that actually can tell you, hey, if you believe, you can do it.
It's always important having that person who, if you can't believe in yourself, you can borrow their belief and use it up until your belief sort of catches up with that. And I quite like how you handle your kids as well, because at school, I think everyone in school is told not to make a mistake, is told that failing is wrong because you're graded an F when you fail and an A when you somewhat please the teachers. And I think one of your key insights is that I was looking somewhere. It says failing is actually a gift. It's something that you reiterate most of the times, because it actually
Exactly.
teaches you what to look for ahead. And I think once I saw that, there's an insight that came to me at that particular time. Thomas Edison. They say he failed 1,000 times to come up with a light bulb, But do you actually know what is involved in making a light bulb? You know, there's three different materials, all right? So there's tungsten, there's argon gas in there, and then there's that glass that's now outside. I don't know how they make
Mhm.
the LED lights. So you can only imagine if he was in a room, he would have tried plastic and plastic burned. He would have tried steel and steel burned. And then he would have went on and tried copper. Maybe copper was just a conductor. So you can only imagine that sometimes when you're failing, you're just getting closer to the truth. And so many people are afraid of that. Maybe you can share how this insight has actually helped you with your coaching and how you conduct yourself.
Yeah, I think it's one of my favorite sentences, especially in the recent years. I'm trying to be better in failing and to fail more, which means to take more risks. And I'm a great believer in fail fast, learn, and try again. It's very difficult to teach somebody to fail because most of the people, they are risk averted. They don't like to fail, right? Me included, right? I was a risk manager. I hate failures. And I teach myself to fail on purpose and to make it more and more. And I find it very difficult, especially like looking at my young kids, to teach them how to fail. And failing is actually very good because the society we live at, they don't embrace failures as a good thing, right? They teach them, hey, you need to get an A, right? In your test, you're not getting an F. That's very bad, right? So I'm constantly battling that box thinking, and with my kids especially, but also with the leaders I actually work, right? If I tell them, hey, it's okay that you fail, you take a risk and you fail, your manager probably is not going to like it. You're not going to get that promotion. So they're always telling me, but this is bad. How should I manage that? And then I say, no, there's a difference. If you fail intelligently, meaning you learn something from it, and you also make sure that before you failing, okay, you make the right conclusions that will help you to recover you and your organization as fast as possible and to learn again. Is it like one iteration, second iteration, third, whatever it is? So it's not a total failure that you didn't learn anything and you just take very, very stupid risk. That's a different failure. And this definitely not, right? Especially in an organization. But if you take very intelligent risks and very intelligent failures, that will only push you up. Innovative ways, all the innovative products that we see, they come from many, many trials of somebody who failed at what they did, right? And the same like with Thomas Edison, right? I'm pretty sure that, the people right now, all the entrepreneurs, they don't do 100 trials of products before they get something in place, right? Everybody wants to do the big win. Everybody wants to have like one chance and, big the win, the big lottery. Unfortunately, it happens, but very, very seldom, right? And most of the people like me, we need to work harder, we need to fail harder, and to learn from our mistakes to gain that big win in the end. And that's what I try also to teach everybody else, including myself, right? Fail faster but intelligently, learn and move on, move to the next thing.
I like that. Fail faster, but fail intelligently. Because when you're failing, you're learning. You take note, not to do it again. But I would think people that are sort of like in the decision end of town, especially in a business or in a corporate, they're the ones that they kind of feel lonely at the top, because where that's where everyone comes to them and is seeking answers, and they somehow need to make sure that they're providing those answers, and they can't afford to dish out information that's probably going to derail the whole enterprise or anything else. And those are the kind of people you sort of end up working with. What sort of advice would you give to leaders who think they need to know it all?
Of course. So often, the upper you go, the lonely it feels. It's correct. I see that trend in many of my clients, unfortunately. And it's also true, right? So the upper you go, there's like only one CEO, there's only one CFO, and there's many, many other, I don't know, marketing managers or whatever it is. But what I do tell them is this: you don't need to know all the answers, but you need to be accountable to hire the people who have the answer. And that's the big difference. Managers usually they're afraid to admit they don't know everything. Good leaders, they hire the right people to know all the answers. That's the difference. And in every corporation, this acknowledgement that you need to hire people who know better than you, it needs to be populated in organizational culture. Some organizations that are more successful, you will see that like Facebook, Google, right? They really hire the people who know better. And some medium corporation who are afraid of that, I would say, oh, how it's going to look that I don't know all the answer. I'm a CFO. I'm supposed to know all the answer. I'm not going to hire anyone who will basically look better than me in those staff meetings. That's really, really bad sign of cultural organization if you have people who think like that. And I see that often, unfortunately. Still now, I see it often. And I have clients who sometimes they deal with bad hiring. And I tell them, you hired this person, you're responsible now for the outcomes of those bad outcomes. What you need to do is you need to fire that person. It's like, but I cannot say that because it means that I failed. I made a bad mistake and I made a decision that everybody were hoping that I know the right one. And I'm like, it's totally fine. You cut the losses, you fire that person, you admit to a corporation that you made a mistake, and you look for a better match. That's what you're supposed to do. Often, those people in C-level position and in managerial position, they feel a lot of pressure to know all the answers. And this is what also something that we often talk about. They tell me things that I'm not able to share to their team, which is totally fine. It's very confidential, so it's definitely something I encourage. But you also need to show your team that you make mistakes. You own your mistakes. You learn from those mistakes. You acknowledge them. Don't shove it up under the rug. And you're not always the person who's supposed to have all the answers. That's why you're supposed to be surrounded by a good team that actually know better in some domains than you. That's what means a successful team.
Absolutely. I think in my culture, we've got a statement, Alisa. It says, if you want to go far, you go alone. But if you want to go further, you go together because there's so many people that are needed in any one task or any undertaking. You know, just like driving a car, you need all four wheels. Yes, you might have the best wheel on the right in front, but what about the other three? And if any of them are not working in unison, guess what? The car is not going to run smoothly. And so many people lose that aspect. But also, there's the aspect of when you point a finger at someone, there's three that are pointing back at you. So you need to be somewhat accountable, first of all, for your actions and also for yourself to know your limits. This is what would then make you able to hire the right people in the right places that will fill in the right roles. So, and I believe clarity is some of the things that you help people with, you know, getting crystal clear on their priorities and to actually look at what is holding them back and who do they need to fit into that sort of sport in their business. How do you help people first of all come to this agreement that they need help?
So first of all, it's not always easy. I have to say I had several attempts to work with very, let's say, high achievers, and we didn't find a way to work together. Not because we didn't have a good match, but just because they were too afraid to let it all out, so to say, right? And working with a coach is a little bit, it requires a lot of trust, obviously, but a lot of ability also to share your fears, your thoughts, your goals in order to get that clarity. And if people are not able to actually express themselves, there's not much I can do, right? So what I do with my other clients, whenever they have an issue with clarity, which is, I would say, most of the executive sessions that we have, we start from the basics, right? What is the status quo? What is the situation right now that you're dealing with, right? And where do you want to be? That's very simple. There's like two questions. It's super, super simple. It's not so complicated. Where are you now? Where do you want to be? This is where the process of the clarity happens, right? Sometimes we figure this out in one session. Sometimes it takes much longer, right? But we start with the same two questions. Where are you now? Where would you like to be? And what do we actually need in order to get there? That's what we're trying to figure out together. So I often try not to give the answers, although I sometimes guess the answers, right? But the answer needs to come from the person itself. So whenever I'm asking you, where are you at? And you would like to be, let's say, I don't know, a CFO in 2 years, and right now you're just a simple manager in your department. What is it that you're actually missing that you need to have or to possess or to learn in order to get that promotion? And the person will just start, oh, I don't know, maybe it's just good networking, maybe it's just new connection. This is something that it's not helpful, right? Sometimes it's helpful for them actually to go in networking, of course, right? If this is what they believe. But I often try to dig deeper. What is it in your own thing that you can actually do for yourself in order to get that promotion? Is it better communication? Is it better skill set? What kind of a skill set? Is it the hard skill set? Is it the soft skill set? What is it that you actually feel that you're not the best at? Where would you feel that you would need some support or learning? Or actually maybe somebody else who can help you with that? Who are those people? Let's identify them. And it's a process of asking questions, and the person asks himself some difficult questions sometimes, right? Sometimes we're stuck. We're not able to move any further. We leave it, then we come back to it again, and we try to dig deeper. So I'm always saying it's a process to get clarity. You need to be very open with yourself, and you need to also to be very honest with the person you're talking to, with your coach. If you are hiding some things, usually the outcome will not come across as a very successful one. Luckily for me, I haven't seen that happen much. Again, just like in the beginning, maybe with some people who are not willing to start that process. And then it means they're not ready for coaching, which is totally fine. But with most of my clients, this is how the process of clarity works. We ask the questions, but it always starts and ends with two very simple questions. Where are we at? What is the status quo? Where would we like to be? And eventually, when you allow yourself to ask that question, you will get there. That's the beauty of that.
Mm, absolutely. You see, this whole where are you supposed to be setup reminds me of an airport scenario where everyone is just looking at their ticket and they're like, okay, I'm in an airport, but I'm supposed to be where this ticket says, and I have to look up and see where that airplane is taking them. So you literally will be the pilot that then delivers them to that particular destination. And that just obviously means it's very personal to each person because, you know, if somebody's from this part and they want to be this part, there's so much of a gap that then needs to be tailored to that person because no two fingers on the same hand are of the same height. So each and every one of them would need some sort of different work done. And this now still comes back to the question, how do you fit it all in 24 hours? Because you've worked with leaders from startups to Fortune 100 companies. How are you adopting your coaching approach to actually fit these unique challenges of these diverse clients?
I think the most, I would say, the guidance for me every time is ask what you need. This is where I start, basically, to try to understand what is your need. What is your basic need as an executive, as a high achiever to get in this life? Is it success? Is it really success for your internal self? Is it external success? So, meaning everybody will know how amazing I am, but for me, I'm just like a simple boy who just doing his work or something else. Is it, I don't know, be a better person for your spouse? What is it that you actually need? Most of the people are scared or don't want to go to the way to ask himself this question: what do I actually need? Once we start asking that question, and once we start answering very honestly, you will find out that each individual has pretty much, I would say, the basic cluster needs. Okay, it's acknowledgement, is basically some love and affection, right? It's recognition, satisfaction, and so on and so forth. So it's not that many. It's not like thousands of different needs that each person needs. We're eventually pretty basic human beings, and we all rise from the same stuff that we need in our life, right? The question is, how do we get to that, right? The ways are very, very different. And this is what we often find also in coaching, right? Once we identify the need, how do we get to that need? It's much, much, let's say, differential and personal way. But the needs would be pretty much the same. Also, like from a fortune company, a manager from a fortune company, and a person who works in some, I don't know, big corporation, and he's like a tiny, tiny manager there. They will probably both need some kind of a recognition from the team, some kind of a recognition from, the big manager, something like that. And I think I love asking the question, what motivates people? And that need is exactly what motivates people. And once you starting trying out to fill out those layers, as you said, with the onion, you get to the basic needs that each of us has. Okay. But the question is, that process, do you allow yourself also as a client to be so vulnerable that I will get to the exposure of seeing your basic need? That's the question. If you do, that will be a successful coaching session, and that will be also a successful road for you to get what you actually need.
Mm. Could it be that, because you did mention that you were sort of, you felt the need to earn your place amongst male leaders? Could it be because everyone is just so cocooned in all this stuff that they don't even have space to let other people in just because they haven't even found themselves, and they're just now projecting all of that to whoever comes in their way because they're fearful that once somebody gets any closer, they might just knock on the cocoon and it cracks it all open.
100%. Nobody wants to show their vulnerability, right? Especially high management leaders. They don't want to show their vulnerability, right? I want to be seen as the most powerful man in the room, right? I want to be seen as the manager who has all the answers, right? We covered that. So nobody wants to show their vulnerability, especially to the team members, right? This is why the executive coaching is so, so helpful, right? This is the one person, well, you, me, and probably your psychologist, where you're allowed to admit what is it that you're actually afraid of, what is actually that you want, okay? What actually makes you happy? Who will come to you, to, I don't know, a CFO or a head of engineering, and ask you, oh, what do you want in life? Nobody will ask you that unless you ask that question to yourself. And this is what I remind to people, right? We work I think what, around about 40, 50 years of our life, right?
Sure.
When do we ask the question, what do we actually want, right? I would guess like in the beginning, before we change our profession to, I don't know, a BA, right? So we ask ourselves, oh, would I like to be a doctor? Would I like to be a mechanic, right? Then, and probably after we read a lot of psychology books, when we have time in retirement, we ask ourselves, what do I actually want? Ooh, oops, it's too late. I'm already 60, right? Well, not that late. You can still do what you want. But you kind of wasted like 40 years on doing something that you don't really enjoy, right? And often those people in very high position, they just hide those cocoons, right? They hide in those emotions because it's just too scary to ask those questions, because you need to gather and you need to show how powerful you are. And unless you're really have a strong will and vision to something that really makes you happy in life, right? Most of the people, they don't ask that question. Most of the people, they just come to work, they do their job, right? They get the paycheck, and this is how most of the people live their life. So the question is, are you brave enough to ask yourself, what is it that I want? What does it make me happy? Okay. And how can I get here today? Not in 50 years when I retire, but today.
Kind of feels like, if you really look at it, Alicia, you're giving people back to themselves. Like somebody would have obviously climbed the corporate ladder and everything else, but you're just holding that space for them and saying, you could actually be way better, bigger, and bolder than you actually are right now if you just step a little to your left.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And again, most of the people, me included, right? We just do something by the inertia, right? Like I step up, I got this position, then the next position, then the next. And I'm not even stopping for a second to ask, oh, wait, maybe I would like to do something else, right? I did that, by the way. And that's why I started my executive coaching. I took a big risk by asking myself, what do I actually want? But until then, that's what I did. That's what most corporate managers do, right? We take the next promotion, we take the next step, and we just do it because everybody else are doing it, right? And I think this is also the part why our society right now having so many issues, right? We are all looking for leadership. We are all looking for somebody to tell us what to do. Like, look at the world, what's going on, right? We want somebody to take the leadership and tell us how to stop the wars, right? We're looking for leaders who tell us, hey, this is what you do in order to have a better life, a better social life, a better life for your kids. At work, we're looking for our managers to tell us, hey, what is it that you want me to do? We're afraid to take ownership. We're afraid to say, hey, maybe that's a bad idea, what you're suggesting. I have a better one, right? And the same for our health, for instance, right? We're always looking for the best guru that tell us this is the best diet, this is the best sport you should do in order to lose weight, to live until you're 100. We're always looking for somebody to tell us what to do, right? Because most people, they're just afraid to ask those questions to themselves, but they have all the power to ask that. It's just very scary questions, because you know what? Once you ask that, you cannot not unask that. You will think about it all the time, and you will feel the pressure. Oh my God, now I actually want what I want to do, and I'm still stuck in the job I hate, and I still stuck with a partner I don't like, right? I have to do something. And that pressure, this is something that for most people is intolerable, right? We cannot tolerate it. We want to get to our basic status quo of feeling in our comfort zone. And most people, they don't like stepping out from the comfort zone. But this is what determines, are you going to be a successful person in your life, running out a successful life for you, whatever it means for you? Or are you just going to bear your life until you're dead?
Mm. Now, obviously, from what you're saying, it resonates at a core level. Indulge me a little bit if you can, because with what you're saying people just obviously go to kindergarten and then go to grade school, go to high school, go to university, get a degree, get a job, fall in love, get promoted, and then they die. Or maybe, buy themselves some sort of midlife crisis car, and then at least that's it for them. And they haven't really lived a well lived life. And you're saying there could be another way. So what you're presenting is somewhat of a pattern break, like saying, you know what, you've been doing what you've been doing. Let me Einstein you a little bit, because you can't get different results from the same inputs that you've been doing. So maybe what you're doing is somewhat of a rite of passage for these people to really usher them into a future they never thought they would get in this lifetime.
Exactly. Well, at least I try, right? It's not always successful, but at least this is what I'm trying to do, right? It's not only, again, companies hire me for making sure that their management is more capable of leading a team, right? So they have better feedback skills, better communication skills, better leadership in general, right? This is why they hire me. But all of this, it comes together with understanding what is it that I actually want in life. And if I'm very, very unsatisfied in the current position where I'm at the company, with the people I work at, I will never be the best version of a leader that I am. Never, ever. Because in my, I don't know, secret life need or something, I would like to be, I don't know, a coach for the minor league or something, right? And I'm only here for the money, which is fine, right? A lot of people choose to do that, right? But the question is, can you actually be okay with yourself with that disconnect from your needs? And that's the bigger question, right? Some people, and often I, as well, in my previous positions, I wasn't very happy. And then the question was, what can I still do in order to set my foot into that position, but still manage to take my abilities, my skill set, and do something additionally to my part? That's why I always took ownership of different roles, of different domains. I was always and constantly trying to evolve myself in my continuously organizational work through all the departments, just because I was trying to find out what else can I do with my skills? What is it that will make me happy? What makes me happy is helping people to see how amazing they are. Okay. This is also something that in my corporate world, working with team members, guide me through all my career path, and especially in the recent years. And I was always trying to push a little bit the boundaries, to change some of the process in the companies in order to see that people can do better when they actually understand what our their abilities are. And I think each person who is kind of strangled in a position that he doesn't like, or he doesn't feel that his strengths are actually coming to some outcome, will never be happy. And this is also the place where you cannot really coach or help people to be better leaders if they're unhappy in their roles. So this is often also the gaps that I can see also in executive coaching. So you first need to understand what is it that you want to do, what will make you happy. It doesn't have to be that you would like to be a ballerina, but you're actually an executive coach or an executive leader. It's totally fine. But there's some gaps that can still be, I think they're overcomplicated. And once you start peeling those layers, you can see a very straightforward line to where you need to be right now in your life currently. And if you allow it, you can definitely change your way, change your life, and get what you want. Often in a place where you not necessarily would like to be, but with the combination of sorts.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for that. Now, what would be the best way that people can maybe get a hold of you and get started on this journey, first of all, maybe just to get this clarity, because as you say, the clearer you are with, where you are and where you want to go, the easier it is for you to pave a pathway that you can easily follow. And yeah.
I
So
often, what I do is a free coaching. It's a free strategy coaching, basically, just to see if we are actually a match and just to see if you can actually be ready for executive coaching. As I said, not all the people are right now ready for executive coaching. So definitely on LinkedIn, you can find me always on my LinkedIn. You have a free button there where you can set a meeting with me and just have a really open um, strategy session about your clarity. What is it that you would like to have in life, and where are you at in your career, and what do you think you still need in order to get to which this magical place where you think it will make you happy.
Absolutely. I mean, from our discussion and everything else, I'll definitely make sure that all those links are in the show notes. And hopefully people go in and massage that, link in your LinkedIn so that they can get started on their path. But Alisa, it all seems like you're making transformations and you're really helping other people achieve their whatever promotion or the happy existence that they want to achieve. And you did say you're doing this in and amongst raising your kids as well and things of that nature. But what has been the most rewarding outcome or achievement from all your coaching journey so far? I mean, you wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't fulfilling you at a core level or at a personal level that warrants all the hard work you're putting in to make it happen.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think the reason why I'm still going so boldly into the executive coaching is because I can see results almost every week. Almost every week, when I speak to my clients and the people who work with me, they have a very, I would say, clear win that they gain from the executive coaching transformation path. And they're pretty, I would say, visible and pretty quick to maintain once you're on the right track. And I think this is what I'm still missing in my corporate work. So basically everything that I build processes, I build teams, right? It takes few months to see the product in the end or the process in the end, right? With people, with the right, I would say, accountability partner, you can see those outcomes pretty fast, and people realizing how strong they are and how much they are able also to change even in, let's say, older age, when they think it's too late already. I'm like 50 something, it's too late. I already have like this nasty I don't know, nasty outburst in the middle of sessions and everything. I'm like, no, it's not too late. It's not too late. And I can see those transformation pretty quickly in almost all the people I work with. And I can also see how much faith people have in themselves after that. And this is priceless because, to be honest, I never had that somebody who can support me and tell me, hey, you can do everything. I have to figure out all this by myself. I still do, right? I do have a coach, but this is something that I realized in the recent years, obviously. And until then, I had to push myself from the ground all the time and think, oh my God, you are able to do that. But this faith, it's constantly something that you need to remind of. And if you don't work on that on a constant base, on an accountability base with a partner, it goes away. It goes away. And then the things that you're able to do are much, much, much smaller than when somebody tells you you're able to do that. So every week for me, it's a win. And when people come to me and say, oh my God, I got that raise, or I got that difficult conflict resolved, or I got that resolution with my partner, even, that's a huge win for me. That's what motivates me. That means that the hard work that I'm putting out there, it's actually paying off. and people see that. So yeah, that's what motivates me. That's like the biggest, I would say, yeah, push that keeps me forward.
Absolutely. Well, this has been a fascinating journey into your life, and obviously the work that you're doing, helping others find themselves out there. And obviously, it's a transformation in and of itself. Just the experience, just hearing from where you've been and what it is that you're working on. Now, I can't wait to hear what's next, what's in store for the future. I mean, you've done this, you've established this. Now you've got a track record. What can people expect from Alisa?
Hmm. Now I think I will try also to be a better leader for my own team. So I think my next step will be to find a new team. I'm currently choosing which company I'm going to join as a corporate role. And hopefully, all my knowledge and all my experience also with working those C levels can help me actually manage a bigger, stronger, more empowered team for my own, and to yeah, to have bigger results. And to be honest, I'm still continuing the executive coaching business because each new person that I meet is a whole new world. It's a whole new challenge, and it brings me so much more happiness, and to see that we can actually solve something new. It's like a puzzle to see it all comes together to a bigger picture that I ever imagined. It's amazing. So that's what's going to be next. I'm always going to push harder and higher until to see what else can I do. So join me to this journey.
Well, absolutely. I can't wait. I mean, obviously, with where you've been and where you're going, knowing that that's what you help people with clarity and having them understand this is where they are, this is where they want to go, and just bridging that gap. I can only see great things coming out of this. So thank you so much for taking your time to sit down with me and take us through your incredible journey with us today, Alisa.
It was a pleasure. Thank you so much, Prosper. You have amazing questions. I love it.
I appreciate it. I mean, if my guests have lived an incredible life, it will only be, remiss for me to come up with questions like, "So, what did you have for lunch today?" It's. I mean, your story is a testament of the power of resilience and obviously continuous learning, because as we have discovered, each and every person that you are looking at is a fresh new set of ideas, even though we all want the same thing, like you said, but you're starting from a position and a place where they are, which actually then creates an opportunity for you to have that wide range of knowledge for you to be able to connect with that person. And I think the impact that one person can have on so many lives, it's just an understatement that you are literally giving people back to themselves. We're probably enjoying some of the products that are produced by these C-suite managers based on the fact that you've had time to talk with them. So in your own little way, you're single-handedly changing the world, and I thank you for that.
Wow, that sounds amazing. Thank you so much, Prosper, for the kind words. Thank you.
Well,
I
it
will
is.
take it. I will take that compliment.
Absolutely. And for those that are watching right now, if you found value in this episode, just make sure you re-watch it, or maybe this time around with the notepad and take some notes on these insightful lessons that Alisa has just shared. Because sometimes when you listen to something, you're just mesmerized by maybe the eloquence or the elegance of the person speaking without actually taking note of what is actually being said. Now that you know where we were and where we ended up, it is now time for you to bridge that gap for yourself and be clear on who you want to become. And if that's not going to happen in these maybe 50 or so minutes that we've been chatting, why don't you reach out to Alicia on LinkedIn? I will be putting all those links in the show notes so she can really help you, see what it is that you are going through. I've always been told and learned that fish do not see the water that they swim in, and neither can people see the air that we breathe in. So if you come across people like Alessia, they'll be able to help you, maybe start, scale, and grow a business that's profitable and enjoyable, or just help you become the best employer, best leader, or whatever it is that you choose to be today. And while you're at it, don't forget to subscribe to the Online Prosperity Show for more inspiring stories and actionable advice from experts like Alisa. Until next time, keep striving for prosperity, and remember, the power to change your life lies within you. Bye for now.